Assalamalaikum and a very good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I hope this finds you well. So today we are going to be talking about report, right? I think it's better if I take it off. Right. So today we're going to be talking about report that is basically IELTS academic writing task one. All right. So today we are going to be talking about some things like how do we define a report. We talk about the time limit, how to manage ourselves, what are the band descriptors, what are the different categories of report, and obviously our modus operandi, like what structure do we end up following. So without further ado, I have screen share over here, and I hope all of you can take a well and proper look at this document. Um, so as to reiterate, okay, you have two types of IELTS writing tests. One is obviously the IELTS academic writing module, and the other one is the IELTS general writing module, both obviously being of 1 hour. And since we are going to focus on report today, so let's just say report only comes in IELTS academic writing. So task one, the report has to be done in 20 minutes, whereas task two, that is the essay, has to be done in 40 minutes. So first of all, we talk about report. A report is a sort of an analysis, right? How you interpret a given piece of information, how do you write it based on your own perspective in a way that is adequate, in a way that is effective, in a way that is visually appealing, in a way that is professional. So, first of all, we talk about brass tacks, okay, like the word limit of a report, that is generally you have to write a minimum of 150 words, okay? You write less than 150, you're going to be penalized, okay? There's no upper limit, but since you have to manage your time very carefully, I would say normally try to make sure your report is in the range of 150 to 180 words. As far as the time limit is concerned, I would say technically you should try to do your report in 20 minutes, okay? Because you see, your academic writing paper comprises of the report as well as an essay. I normally recommend students to spend 20 minutes on the report and at least 40 minutes on the essay, minimum, okay? So, first of all, okay, so moving on, we talk about the band descriptors for a report. As we know, band descriptors are those parameters upon the basis of which we are being evaluated. Okay, so what is the examiner looking for? First of all, is looking for task achievement. That is, have we answered the question? Have we addressed the need of the question? Okay, so that is 25% weightage. Next up, we have coherence and cohesion. Okay, is there a proper flow to our report? That is an introduction, then a body paragraph, right? Is there a smooth transition? That is coherence. And cohesion means that do your ideas, do your sentences back each other up? If they are subject to contradiction, then obviously they're not going to be cohesive. So that is coherence and cohesion. That also has 25% weightage. Also having equal weightage is lexical resource, which is basically a range of vocabulary. So there is no limit to the amount of vocabulary that you can learn for English proficiency tests. Okay, there's often this misconception that I just need to know fancy words for GRE. No, it's going to be very helpful for you if you know these good words for all the different types of tests. So obviously, you have a good range of vocabulary. You will ace this lexical resource bound descriptor, and finally, you have GRA. That is grammatical range and accuracy. That is your ability to conduct there's the ability to write properly structured, full-fledged, complex, compound sentences. That's what I say. So that also has 25% weightage. So a good report is one in which we address all parts of the question, task achievement, one in which our ideas don't contradict each other. There is a smooth coherence and flow to our report in which we have a range of vocabulary in which we write proper, full-fledged, compound sentences. Obviously, you ace these bad descriptors and your chances of getting a good score in your report go up and vice versa. Failure, like I said this before, failure to address even one of these bad descriptors will result in you getting a maximum band score of 5.5, which is going to spell trouble for you fellas. So just make sure you factor that into consideration when you're writing your report. Now we talk about the structure of a report, and before that, we need to understand what do we mean by structure. Structure is basically how to organize your information. Okay, how do you present and sort and arrange your information? So structure and paragraphing, they are absolutely essential in report writing, okay? So what does the structure for report comprise of? Well, number one, you got your introduction. Number two, you got your overview. And then you got your what? Your body paragraph where you give detailed information where obviously you go in depth. Now, there are different approaches for report writing. I've commonly come across two approaches in this industry, okay, that different IELTS teachers recommend to students, okay? I'll give you both, then tell you which one I basically endorse as a teacher of this subject, as well as having given this exam myself 2 times. There are two different approaches when it comes to report writing. The first approach is the 4-paragraph approach, which means that first paragraph we go for introduction, in the second paragraph we go for the overview, third paragraph is body paragraph A, fourth paragraph is body paragraph B. Now, I do not, there's nothing wrong with this approach, but I generally don't prefer my students use this because the thing is, guys, you're just talking about like what, 150 words. That is like what, less than 40 words in each paragraph. So rather than writing such small paragraphs, just have 2 proper paragraphs, and I think that's pretty much it, you know. So I basically recommend the second approach, that is the 2-paragraph approach. So what are the constituents of the 2-paragraph approach? Well, you got your introduction and overview in the very first paragraph, and then your second paragraph is like the body paragraph where you contain that basically contains detailed information, right? So so first of all, obviously you talk about the introduction. So in other words, the introduction of a report basically means paraphrasing the background question statement or the question statement and writing it again in your own words in order to demonstrate flexible use of language, okay? So introduction, what we do is you have a background statement given in the question. You just rewrite it using proper synonyms in your own words in order to show that you have a good range of vocabulary. A few words may be picked from the question statement, but never copy paste the entire background statement onto your answer sheet, as it won't be entered by the examiner and you will lose points owing to lack of originality, okay? So introduction is you just paraphrasing the background statement, and that is pretty much it, ladies and gentlemen. Next up, we go for the overview. Overview basically means giving your opinion on, see, you have an overview, right? For example, there are 10 people who come to a meeting. Eight of them out of those 10, they're working as electrical engineers. One is, let's say, working in the finance sector. The other one is working in some fashion design company or something, right? So what do you say? What is your overview? What do you get out of that room? That most of the people are doing what? Engineering, electrical engineering. So overview is your ultimate analysis. Like basically, what is the bigger picture that you get from this schematic or this graph or this bar chart or this information that is being presented to you, okay? So overview, this is a very important part of the report. Overview means giving your opinion on the key features of the report on a superficial level, or giving your interpretation on the matter without delving into detail. So key features, that is the main picture, the overview, they're all about the high points and low points of the report. For example, if you have a graph, okay, what's the overview going to be? I mean, is it increasing? Is it decreasing? What is the biggest value? What is the smallest value? So that's basically what an overview is. Obviously, we're going to do some practice. You'll understand this better once we do a sample report. So just remember, guys, the overview comes right after introduction. Remember that it is always beneficial to start your statement with the word overall. You got to make it easy for the examiner. So when you begin your overview with the word overall, as I've highlighted over here in red, it shows the examiner that you're talking about your overview. So yeah, as per the approach that I suggest, that I recommend, that I endorse, I would say that both introduction and overview can preferably come in the first paragraph. You talked about the introduction, you talked about the overview, boom, you're done with the first paragraph. Now you move on to the second paragraph. What is the second paragraph? Well, that is the body paragraph. As we, especially as Pakistanis, right, we love these things, story writing and all that stuff, So this is where you give details. The body paragraph contains descriptive and detailed information regarding dates, numbers, comparison of key features, and so on. Now, before I go ahead and do a task, right, oftentimes I get a lot of student queries, so I just felt like addressing them one by one. Right, so question one, do I need to write a conclusion for task one? Do I need to write a conclusion for task one? The answer is no. A conclusion is not needed in the report. Okay, sounds weird, right? But I'll just get back to it in a bit. You don't need to write a conclusion in the report. Question two, what is an overview? Answer is an overview, fellas, is a paragraph which contains key features. Sorry, my chair just keeps on going down. An overview is a paragraph which contains key features regarding tables, maps, diagrams, pie charts, bar charts, graphs, and so on, right? Question 3, is the overview important? Yes, sir, it is. Without an overview, the band descriptor of the task response will not be met, automatically resulting in a maximum band score of 5 out of 9. So if the overview is average or just okay from the qualitative aspect, you will fetch a maximum score of 6 out of 9. A proper overview, a proper methodical professional overview can give you a band score of at least 7 out of 9. Next up, students say, okay, how about I write an overview and a conclusion? See, fellas, the reason why you do not write a conclusion in the report is because your overview itself is a conclusion. See, if you remember back in our sessions, or if you remember on my channel where I've talked about the essays, in the end, what are we doing in the conclusion? What exactly is happening? We are summarizing what has been said above, right? So an overview is a sort of a summary itself. You are just summarizing the main things. You're talking about the ultimate findings. You're talking about the main picture. You're talking about the key findings, right? So an overview is sort of a conclusion in and of itself. So if you write both an overview and a conclusion, what you're doing is you are engaging in repetition, and that is bad. Okay, so quintessentially speaking, an overview and a conclusion are the same thing. One must avoid repetitions as repetitive information drags your band score down. Also, by writing both overview and conclusion, we are eating too many words, which means that we will have to write more in order to address other parts of the report, such as introduction, the body paragraph, moving on to the essay. So this will make it difficult for us to manage your time well. And obviously, like I said, time management is a big problem in these tests. So you got to be careful. Question 5, where can I put the overview? So it's up to you, right? You can give the overview in the first paragraph, or you may give it in the second one. Okay, but I always recommend my students that give your overview in the first paragraph, because the thing is, in the body paragraph, students just write stories and stories and stories. In the end, they realize they got less than half an hour to do the essay, and I've said you need a minimum of 40 minutes to do the essay. And then in their haste, in their in that panic mode that they go, they often forget that they have to jot down the overview, which is basically a very important component of your report. So it's better to get it done and dusted within the first paragraph before you move on to the body. Okay, so give it in the first paragraph. That's what I would say to you. Next time we talk about different types of reports. Okay, so there are different types of reports. You got a line graph report, you got a column graph report, you got a table report, you got a map report, you got a diagram report, you got a pie chart report, as well as you got a bar chart report. So in the upcoming sessions, we'll be talking about these one by one in details. And obviously, I'll be discussing each and every report type so that we can have a proper understanding of this, right? You're most welcome to reach out to me in the comment section in case you have any queries. Thank you very much for listening, fellas, and you have a lovely night. God bless you. Assalamalaikum.